We are tracking several developments this morning related to the federal immigration crackdown happening here in Minnesota.
And we have new details in the shooting death of Alex Preddy in Minneapolis. But first, here's a live look this morning at the federal Whipple buildings. This is near Fort Snelling. CBS News has learned changes in leadership are happening. Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino has been reassigned and could leave the state as soon as today. Meanwhile, Border Czar Tom Homan is expected to meet with Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey.
Frey and Governor Tim Walz also spoke with President Trump yesterday to discuss the rising tensions in Minnesota over immigration enforcement. CBS News has also learned some of the agents involved in the shooting of Preddy were wearing body cameras. The latest on the investigation into his death coming up in just a few minutes. And now to the latest from the live desk. Maria Lizignoli joins us now. And Maria, it sounds like there's been a change in tone from D.C. as Bovino prepares to leave Minnesota and Homan arrives.
Barrett, major shifts in Operation Metro Surge, including a new point person for the Trump administration on the ground here in Minnesota. This comes as sources tell CBS News Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino has been reassigned. Now, Bovino and some of his agents are expected to leave Minnesota, just as Border Czar Tom Homan arrives in the Twin Cities. We know the president said yesterday that Homan was on his way, but we have not confirmed if he's on the ground here yet. Homan, with decades of experience in immigration enforcement, served with the Obama administration. President Trump says Homan will report directly to him.
Border Czar Homan is in a unique position to drop everything and go to Minnesota to continue having these productive conversations with state and local officials.
CBS News sources say there is anger from some inside DHS over their public statements after the deadly shooting Saturday. They've not said publicly what led to Bovino's change in assignment at this time. Barrett.
Okay, thanks, Maria. And new this morning, CBS News also confirms DHS Secretary Kristi Noem is facing internal scrutiny in the aftermath of the shooting of Alex Preddy. Multiple sources familiar with the matter told CBS News this, but Noem is expected to keep her job. Sources said Noem was at the White House yesterday and faced questions about her department's handling of the shooting and its response. Her focus is expected to shift from interior enforcement operations to securing the southern border and other priorities.
And another change, an open line of communication between the White House and leaders here in Minnesota. In a post on Truth Social, President Trump said that Governor Walz called him with the request to work together with respect to Minnesota. He said it was a very good call and we actually seemed to be on a similar wavelength. Governor Walz's office described the call as productive and said that the president agreed that he would talk to his Department of Homeland Security about ensuring that the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension is able to conduct an independent investigation, and said that he agreed into looking into reducing the number of federal agents in Minnesota. And Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey posted to X that he also spoke with President Trump. He says he appreciated the conversation and says the president agreed that the current situation cannot continue.
Right now, the Department of Homeland Security is leading the investigation into the shooting death of Alex Preddy. Department head Kristi Noem says the case is clear, but witness video contradicts many of her initial claims. Now, the White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt revealed DHS is not the only agency investigating.
The Homeland Security investigations and the FBI have teamed up for an investigation, and there's also an internal CBP investigation, an internal review of what is happening on the ground in Minnesota.
Right now, a temporary restraining order is in place that bars DHS from destroying or altering evidence.
Now the state is waiting for a judge to rule on extending temporary restraining order and to Minnesota authorities access to the federal investigation into the Preddy shooting. The BCA says that the feds blocked state agents from accessing the crime scene right after the shooting despite having a warrant. They say there is a lot of information that they still don't know, like the names of the agents who were involved in the shooting, what has happened to Preddy's gun, what footage might be on his phone, and what the body cameras of some of the federal agents show. On Monday, attorneys argued how unprecedented it is for Homeland Security to be taking the lead instead of the FBI or the state. That's a sentiment that experts we spoke with agree on.
Anytime you're taking on something like a prosecution of a law enforcement officer, you do want to be as thorough as you possibly can. And the state's frustration is they're not allowed to be.
The order in place right now, it lasts 2 weeks, but the state wants that extended.
Meanwhile, we could be just days away from a ruling to halt the federal immigration crackdown altogether. The state of Minnesota and the Justice Department were in court Monday over the lawsuit to stop Operation Metro Surge. The DOJ says the operation needs to continue because of a lack of cooperation with Minnesota authorities. But the state argues it's dangerous, illegal, and unconstitutional political punishment. During yesterday's hearing, Judge Kate Menendez grilled the DOJ about a letter from Attorney General Pam Bondi to Governor Tim Walz that said the operation would end if Minnesota met certain demands, including turning over voter data, other state records, and no longer supporting sanctuary policies. Judge Menendez ruled the DOJ must submit information about those demands by tomorrow night.
New this morning, several people were arrested in Maple Grove last night. This was at a protest near a hotel. Maple Grove police say at least around 8 last night, they received reports of a protest at the Spring Hill Suites by Marriott. Police say that the protests went beyond peaceful and a dispersal order was issued. They add that the building was damaged and there were objects that were thrown at officers. Multiple departments assisted, including the State Patrol and the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office. Plus, we have new details this morning in the protest that we told you about yesterday morning. Minneapolis police say that 2 people were released and detained pending further investigation. Now, this was outside the Hilton Home 2 Suites on Sunday night. You can see broken windows, there's debris, graffiti at the hotel. MPD says it did move to de-escalate the situation as the group became disorderly. Multiple agencies did have to respond to help there. A federal agent on the scene was injured, and MPD says they provided aid. According to the Department of Homeland Security, protesters believed agents were staying at the hotel.
Also, new developments this morning in the arrests of dozens of people at MSP on Friday. We now know court records show people were not cited for not complying with an officer, and others were accused of trespassing. Demonstrators included faith leaders, about 100 of which were arrested. Metropolitan Airports Commission says it worked in advance with event organizers, but the number of people went, quote, beyond agreed upon terms.
And we are continuing to learn more about Alex Preddy from those who knew him best.
Preddy's parents spoke to the Associated Press about what motivated their son to protest the federal crackdown. Take a listen.
He thought it was terrible. Kidnapping children, just grabbing people off the street. He cared about those people. And he knew it was wrong. So he did participate in protests.
He was an outdoorsman. He took his dog everywhere he went. He loved this country, but he hated what people were doing to it.
So the spot where Preddy was killed has transformed into a space for community. All day Monday, people were seen stopping at each street to pay their respects. Some added flowers or mementos or just paused for a moment of silence or prayer.
I just think this is like what the Twin Cities is about. It's just this warmest of souls on the coldest of days, consistently showing up for one another and honoring this shared experience.
And I think it's so easy, especially in the media world, to look at our phones, to keep our heads down. And I think coming here has helped me to keep my head up.